Welcome to another installment of Deconstructing Babylon, where we discern the signs and symbols of the mystery religion of Hollywood Babylon. I'm the Discerning Clerk, and I use a biblical framework to deconstruct my favorite movies from the 90s. I am so grateful you're here, either by subscribing, searching, or by some miracle, the algorithm. I am an elder millennial, a former video store clerk and manager, and a follower of the way. Yahweh, in his love and providence, has awakened me to the truth in his word and, by contrast, the lies in the world. And when the lies in movies started to be illuminated to me, it wasn't easy for me. Because I loved movies. I still do. I just love the truth more. So lots of movies are ruined for me now. And if you watch my videos all the way through, the movies may be ruined for you too. Which you may not be ready for, and that's okay. I realize that's why my channel is small. But if you are ready, if you have been awakened to and love the truth more than anything, then you're in the right place. I may not get everything right, and there's lots I may miss, so I will always encourage you not to take my word for it, or anyone else's for that matter, but to know the word for yourself. All right, today we're looking at one of my favorite comedies starring fellow Canadian Mike Myers. So I Married an Axe Murderer was released in 1993 and is one of my most quoted films. It garners a meager 2.5 stars from the Video Movie Guide, which says, Mike Myers proves he can get some laughs outside of Wayne's World in this comedy about a modern-day beat poet's ill-fated marriage to Butcher's assistant Nancy Travis. However, Myers doesn't register much charisma, especially when sharing scenes with dynamos like Travis, Anthony LaPaglia, Alan Arkin, and Charles Grodin. But there are some good moments in this paper-thin whodunit. Rated PG-13. If memory serves, Mike Myers doesn't share a scene with Alan Arkin or Charles Grodin, both bit players in the film. Let's just say that the reviewers could not predict the longevity that Mike Myers would have in the industry, or finding the perfect cinematic vehicle for him. Now, let's see what we see in So I Married an Axe Murderer. The first image of the movie is the Golden Gate Bridge, at night with the cityscape behind it. Since this movie is set in San Francisco, I'm sure we will see this water crossing multiple times, and I will disseminate my thoughts at the end. We land on a street named for mystic beat poet Jack Kerouac, and make it inside a coffee shop where up-and-coming beat poets perform for some kind of hippie open mic night. We follow the journey of a large cappuccino mug to meet Charlie MacKenzie, who sits in front of an illustration of the state of Illinois. And I have to wonder if this is a callback to Myers' recent SNL vehicle, Wayne's World. Charlie's best friend, Tony Giardino, is with him, cosplaying as a pimp for some reason.
You look like an undercover cop trying to look hip.
I am an undercover cop trying to look hip.
We soon learn that Charlie is a perpetual bachelor and never stays long in relationships, which he uses as inspiration for his poems.
I broke up with those girls for very good reasons.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
Charlie then tells a room full of Gen Xers all about his failed relationship.
She stole my heart and my cat.
In the light of day, Charlie visits a niche butcher, where he meets Harriet Michaels. He then drives to his eccentric parents, May and Stuart, who is also played by Myers. This Scottish character feels like a precursor to another Scottish character he would go on to play. Tony is also there for the family gathering, and William, who I suppose is Charlie's much younger brother.
All right, give your mother a kiss or I'll kick your teeth in.
Charlie breaks the news to his mom that he's single again, and just like any boomer mother, May is disappointed, as she hopes her oldest son will soon settle down and get married.
Mom, you know I'm terrified of marriage.
I know that, son. I know that.
May is understanding and tries to comfort her son when she tells Charlie about an article she read in the paper, as she gets her news from the tabloids, which she trusts more than legacy media. Frankly, I can't say I blame her.
The paper contains facts.
This paper contains facts.
May goes on to tell Charlie about Mrs. X, the honeymoon murderer, a 3-time bride whose new husbands all suffer untimely deaths.
And her whereabouts are unknown.
Another day, another shot at the Golden Gate Bridge, and another sighting of Harriet at the butcher. Tony, as we've been told, is a police detective, and while he's at work, we meet his captain, the aforementioned Alan Arkin, who is criminally uncredited in this film.
Tony, I don't want to intrude, but you seem a little down.
Charlie works up the courage to ask out Harriet while she's at work, and the shop is very busy. Charlie offers to help Harriet, so he straps on an apron, and the two bond over meats. They go out that night and get to know each other better, and another beauty shot of the Golden Gate Bridge.
How many people have you brutally murdered?
Brutal is a very subjective word.
Charlie learns that Harriet speaks Russian, which may or may not be a quality of Mrs. X. They go to Harriet's apartment to continue their date, and Charlie learns more about her, including that she used to live in Atlantic City, which is where Mrs. X's first husband was from.
I had a friend, he was a martial arts expert, and...
Mrs. X's second husband was a Russian martial arts expert, according to the tabloid article. After spending all day together, Charlie and Harriet spend the night together. They show us the Golden Gate Bridge again for some reason, and Harriet yells out the name Ralph in her sleep. Mrs. X's third husband was named Ralph.
And you kept saying the name Ralph.
The next morning, a long shot of the Golden Gate Bridge, and Charlie meets Harriet's sister Rose. Charlie and Rose have an awkward exchange.
Don't worry, Charlie. Just be careful.
Charlie and Tony take a police boat to Alcatraz, the famed prison on an island. Since they're using police resources, we could assume Tony is on duty, working a case. But instead, they go on a public tour of Alcatraz.
Hello, everyone. I am a park ranger, and I will be leading you on the tour.
While on the tour, Charlie tells his friend that he isn't going to overanalyze or sabotage his new relationship.
I'm really happy. Please, don't let me screw this one up.
Of course, we need a relationship montage, and it's clear Charlie spends most of his time at Harriet's apartment or workplace. The synopsis says he's a beat poet, but does he really make a living doing that? San Francisco is an expensive city, even in the 90s. Finally, Charlie brings Harriet to meet his parents.
I like this one, Charlie. She's quite a filly.
Everything is going well until Charlie is reminded of Mrs. X and all the similarities to Harriet. Charlie starts to question Harriet and press her about details of her life before they met.
Look, it's a period in my life that I really don't like talking about.
Charlie starts to spiral over this, so he talks to his detective friend, Tony, who made a promise he won't let Charlie ruin this relationship. Charlie is not comforted and seems convinced that Harriet is going to hurt him or try to kill him.
No, not really. Usually I follow the Judeo-Christian ethic of thou shalt not kill, but that's just me.
Charlie happens to overhear more information about Ralph, whose body was recently found. And so Charlie decides to end things with Harriet, which is actually a wise thing to do.
I'm afraid that you're gonna leave me.
As is his custom, Charlie writes and performs a poem about his breakup, but he doesn't seem so sure about his decision. He goes back to Harriet and begs her to take him back, which she does.
I am lonely. It's really hard. This poem sucks.
The reunited couple attend an anniversary party for Charlie's parents. Charlie is so overcome by the enduring love of his parents that he asks Harriet to marry him, which she reluctantly accepts.
Let's get married, Charlie.
And the very next scene is their wedding. Charlie is happy until his suspicions of Harriet come flooding back immediately after taking vows. We get a very close-up shot of the Golden Gate Bridge as the two head out for a local honeymoon. Remember Ralph Elliott, the third husband of Mrs. X? Well, Tony learns that someone confessed to his murder, but the confession can't be trusted. So Tony does some actual police work.
That is Ralph Elliott's wife.
Tony goes after the newlyweds because now Harriet is his number one suspect and Charlie's life is in danger.
Geez, is this dangerous?
No. Well, you know, there's a chance in everything.
Meanwhile, Harriet is acting strangely and even suspiciously. Tony tries to warn Charlie, but a local storm threatens outside communication and help.
Look, I was just on the phone and it went dead.
Harriet finally confesses to Charlie that she's been married before, and Charlie locks her in a closet so he can escape. But he's quickly confronted with the truth of who Mrs. X really is.
Rose!
It was Harriet's sister, Rose, who murdered all of Harriet's previous husbands and plans to do it again. Tony arrives and takes Harriet into custody while Charlie fights for his life.
Yes. Oh, listen, that's them, up on the roof. They're up on the roof!
Finally, Rose is captured and will face justice. And the movie ends as it began. The coffee shop, the beat poet, the ascending exterior shot at night, and one final look at the Golden Gate Bridge. Typically, the symbolism is very clear to me, and apart from the Golden Gate Bridge, I'm not sure what the point of the film is. I'm leaning towards fear of marriage and the planned dissemination of the family. But first, let's talk about the Golden Gate Bridge. So many movies that take place in New York City show the Twin Towers, not just because they were a pivotal part of the skyline, but because they were a target all along. The same is true for the Golden Gate Bridge. In 2026, the bridge still stands, but for how long? It is my belief that this West Coast crossing, shown in numerous Hollywood productions, is simply predictive programming. The familiar bridge is so ingrained in our minds, and they purposely do this so that we will have a visceral and emotional reaction when they finally take it down, either by weather, terror attacks, or some other means. Again, normally I find some biblical meaning with character names or vocation, and we usually almost always see duality in some form. But all of that seemed absent here, so maybe we are looking at the first benign film that has no agenda, except that it very clearly sends the message that marriage equals death. At least, it does for Harriet. Since she is exonerated for any wrongdoing, we can assume that she legitimately fell in love with each of her husbands and would be insanely traumatized to get married again. She may even feel like she herself is a curse and that no man is safe with her, which is probably why she doesn't accept Charlie's proposal at first. But they also frame Charlie as a reluctant groom. He finds fault with all his partners and breaks up with them with seemingly shallow reasons. Until Harriet, but he has a very good reason for breaking up with her, so it's hard to know why he doubted it.
I care for Applejacks a great deal.
Got him.
Good.
Charlie's parents seem to be a good example of a lasting marriage, as most of that generation stayed married a long time and plenty didn't divorce, even if the marriage wasn't loving. But instead of an example of marriage, May and Stuart instead are examples of being anti-establishment. May only reads the tabloids, believing they are the only source of truth in her day. And Stuart, while we can dismiss a lot of what he says, has quite conspiratorial yet accurate views of the world.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentavirate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet triannually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentavirate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
I think more can be said about Rose, the real Mrs. X. We don't necessarily know how she killed the other 3 men, because the axe seemed more like a weapon of convenience. The other murders also took place in different cities, so have Harriet and Rose always lived together across the country? Or has Rose stayed in San Francisco and traveled to commit murder? When we meet the 2 sisters, they are living together, which is what Rose wants, to keep Harriet close. That was her confessed motive for killing the husbands. The imagery of Rose at the end, when she tries to kill Charlie, is almost angelic. Her wild red hair contrasted with a white, floaty, ethereal coat. The final battle takes place on the roof and Rose almost falls, but she's caught by the lawkeeper, physically and metaphorically. What I'm saying is, Rose could represent the fallen one who is against marriage and family because it is created by the Most High, the one who desires to keep the bride to herself. But as I come to the end, I'm still questioning what it all means. And the longer I do this, that doesn't necessarily happen that often. This movie remains a funny little escape for now, though I'm convinced that Mike Myers should never be the leading man in a rom-com. He's funny, but not romantic. So we'll leave it there for now. Thank you for enduring to the end. Give the video a thumbs up if you agree and a thumbs down if you disagree. Comment below what you think I missed with this one and to suggest any 90s movie you'd like me to deconstruct in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this, but don't follow me. Follow the one who saves you. And until next time, keep looking up.
Good for you. That was so much better.
Yeah, you like
really
it?
terrific. It was fantastic.
I don't know, the beginning felt pretty good.
Yeah, it was great.
I thought I'd get too much in the end.
No. It was really terrific.
Yeah.